Dude, no one tells any more good stories anymore. I'm thinking about working on like a children's book of stories, like, obviously like watered down a little bit from the radical Charlie Sheen life I live. But basically just sort of like, ideas, I guess, that I came across. There was one story I had called The Tear Collectors, and it was based on an experience where, you're kind of like I'm a security clearance guy, believe it or not. People are always shocked to hear that I had FBI background clearances and all that when I worked in my job at the airport, and even in LA. I would take, I worked in the adult film industry for a while, not actually as an actor, but I would escort some of the porn stars home and shit like that. And I was just always that kind of guy. Like, I was always the guy that the one guy would trust with his girlfriend. When you say that, they go, yeah, sure. I'm like, I know, but I'm just telling you guys, I'm not saying that you should, trust me with your girlfriend. I'm saying from my past life in LA. So, basically, there's this archangel, and he's on a mission, and he's out, and he's retrieving basically a teacher, a female teacher, and there's about 30 kids, like a classroom. And they're in the forest, and most of these stories seem to take place in the forest, and he's walking them out, and they're very tired. Something has happened. I don't know if there was a fire at the schoolhouse or what. But they decide that they have to stay the night in the woods. And so the children start going to sleep, and the teacher goes to sleep, and the archangel is watching over all of them. And then he starts noticing underneath the eyes of the children, there's like these like little fairy kind of angel-like creatures with thimble-like cups. And so he goes over and investigates, and he says, what's going on here? What are you doing? And like a Tinkerbell type fairy comes up right up to his face, like in a Disney movie. He's like, hello, you don't remember me? No, what are you guys doing here? He says, we're the tear collectors. What's a tear collector? And he saw that the children were sleeping with their eyes closed, but they were crying. Whatever they had been through, they were crying in their sleep. And as they cried and the tears ran down their cheeks, these little angel fairies were catching their tears in the cup. And this one angel fairy tells the archangel, yes, we're the tear collectors. We remember you. And he says, I don't understand, what do you collect these for? He goes, well, we take them back up to heaven. And this is what is used as holy water. And it's amazing the archangel didn't know that. He goes, really? He goes, yeah. She goes, okay, well, just, don't bother the kids. Just let them sleep. Take your tears back to God. I believe you. But it was a fascinating story that's what they made holy water out of, was the tears of the innocent child. And there was another time where they were surrounded by wolves, by, demon-eyed, red-eyed wolves in this forest. But they were safe in the area where they were staying. But they didn't know how they were going to get out of the forest. But the archangel wasn't scared. The archangel, they said, quote, could notice things that were no longer there. What does that even mean? Well, usually people notice things when they're added. Like if you add a new television or a couch or something to a bedroom or a house, people always know, hey, where'd you get the new TV? Or where'd you get the new car? But the archangels have this talent where, like, if you have a crowd, like a Where's Waldo crowd of 1,000 people, and all of a sudden, a child that disappears, that basically you could, the archangel would recognize that. And that was one of the reasons, it's one of the gifts that it had, was that it would totally recognize when something was missing, when something was gone. And that was a big deal. And so basically they would always assign this archangel because he could see things in the dark, and he could see things that were missing. He wouldn't, you could take a child out of 1,000, and he would say, over there, just above the girl in the red, there was a child there a minute ago, now it's gone, we've got to go find it. It's an amazing gift. But this one night when they're surrounded by wolves, the archangel had an idea. Now, for whatever reason, the wolves couldn't come any closer, so they were staying there, but they were kind of caught in the forest. They couldn't get out. So the archangel had an idea. And he says, okay, kids, I want the first kid to grab my hand and get all into a line and close your eyes and just follow the lead of the first child. And he told the first child, just hold on to my hand and just follow my footsteps where I walk. But I want you all to keep your eyes closed. Just trust the person in front of you. Hold on to their hand and just walk where you feel them walking and them leading you. Okay, we're going to do a long string. Will be like a big snake. So if you feel me move a little to the left, just take a step to the left or a step to the right. I won't lead you to trip over woods or rocks or anything like that. But just make sure you keep your eyes closed. That's part of the game, okay? And the teacher was in the back, all the way in the back. Make sure none of the children got lost or let go. And sure enough, the archangel, with his eyes open, walked them right through the whole pack of wolves that were sleeping and never saw or heard them walk through. The next day, the wolves were still circling around, thinking that the kids and the archangel were down there. They had finally made it out of the woods safely, because the archangel could see in the dark. And he didn't want the children to be frightened, so he told them to close their eyes. And people say, well, this whole idea of archangels is kind of ridiculous. And why are they not just angels? Well, it has to do with, seeing things like that in the dark. In fact, I heard a story about how they were actually kind of first assigned, if you want to put it that way, the position. But you're not assigned the position of archangel. It's not something you earn. You don't go for the position. It's something that has to happen, like the arc in a circle, like once you come full spectrum. Once you've had so many experiences in life, bad and good, well, you've had to have been a sinner. And you had to have been an angel. But you always have to have that good heart. And most people don't make it that far. They either get paid up and sold out, or something happens to them and they just die. But at a certain point, you make it and you haven't died yet. You kind of become this like all-knowing, all through all these experiences. It's kind of like, you ever seen those guys that used to be in gangs and violent? Isn't it funny now when they're at a party and there's a fight that breaks out, they're the first guy to go and break up the fight. When you're like, dude, you used to fight all the time. You're a hypocrite. Why are you breaking up the fight? Okay, that's the archangel. Something happens to them, but they change. Well, one term in the Earth cycle, basically, the archangels were with God, and he wanted to test them, and he did not expect them to pass. We all assume God knows all, and that there's nothing more to learn. This was a case where I was told God learned something that day, and this is what gives archangels sort of their freedom to do what they want. They say that he who is free from sin casts the first stone. Well, since archangels are the soldiers of God, there must be free from sin. And I said, oh, interesting, because I think archangels used to sin and stuff like that. Yes, it's misread, they said. But they're free from sin, meaning that they're free from it. God only entrusts that they know what sin is about and what bad things, not to murder, not to kill. And had they done those things, they felt the karma or punishment of them. So the archangels have sort of earned their right, I guess, if that makes sense, that if you need to do something crazy, we're fighting the devil. We're not going to say, hey, you can't throw a rock, We're going to say that you're free from it. You don't have anything holding you back. You're free from judgment. Like in Apocalypse Now, he says, you got to be free from judgment. Because these men were awesome soldiers. They had hearts. But they were geniuses. They were ready to die for any reason or any cause. They cut their arm off for you. And just look at you like, what are you going to do about it, Well, when God left, he told everybody, including the archangels, you can go and be with the devil now. And everyone kind of sort of agreed and started doing all these weird things that was against everything God had been telling them for hundreds of years. They totally sold out. They never even believed in anything that God told them. They didn't like it. They're like, oh, we wanted to do what the devil wanted to do. But the archangels didn't agree with this. And they stayed out of the circle. They said, fuck you guys, man. You guys go do what you want. We're going to stay here. And a long time went by, and the devil's just like, dude, your God abandoned you, man. Like, what are you guys waiting for? Don't you know your God abandoned you? You can come down here, man. We're not going to hurt you. You can party with us. You can do whatever you want. I know you guys like to party. And the archangel says, no, not anymore. Not because you guys are partying. We want to stand here and stay here. And they're starving now. Now they don't have any food, and they're not eating. And the devil's like, you guys are fucking crazy. He's like, you can come down and hang out with me. And like, this was the plan. Like, devil and the God were working together. But the archangels refused to do it until they were almost dead. And finally God came back and was shocked. See, he wanted to come back and be like, I caught you all sinning and you're all evil now. You're all going to hell, and do a little trick like, some adult playing a game. But when he came back, he was just totally stunned. He couldn't believe these archangels had stuck to the mission, had stuck to the purpose. They thought God had abandoned them, but they said, well, then that's too bad for God. The ideas and the ideals that God stood for, we still stand for them, even if our God is dead. And after that, archangels were given the right to do whatever they want, like they were God. They weren't, but they were given the rights as if they were.